Hello everyone and welcome back to my series The Magical World of Crystals, where today we are going to be discussing one of the longest and one of the most well-known of all crystals, the crystal skulls. This is my beautiful fluorite crystal skull. He is super dark and absolutely handsome. His name is Flavian and he is a fantastic companion of mine. When it comes to crystal skulls, they are very magical and very old, supposedly. However, majority of crystal skulls you're going to find are hand-carved. They're not actually something that you can find in the earth. There is a belief that there were some that you could find in the earth. However, how long ago and how much that might be true, it begs to differ. The thing is that there probably were crystal skulls that people carved out of stone back in the day into the shape of a skull, maybe as an omen to protect and guard their villages and their tribes, but I'm not 100% sure. That's something that definitely requires more research. Historians have been trying to study it because there are a couple of ancient crystal skulls that they have found. However, a majority of crystal skulls that I will be discussing are ones that are currently hand-carved and made nowadays, and they are carved from different types of crystals. I still think that they are beautiful, wonderful masterpieces, and depending upon the quality and craftsmanship, they definitely are worth the money. I won't deny it, out of all of them, he probably was a little bit pricier than some of the other crystal skulls I have, but definitely worth the price because of how detailed his face is, as well as just the quality of the fluorite. Fluorite this dark usually ranges in a pretty high price range, and it's definitely beautiful and worth every penny. I adore him to little pieces. He's one of my favorites, and he's got a cat hair stuck on him. But let's discuss crystal skulls, their uses and their properties, and why some people are afraid of them. Because I guess the skull can be a little terrifying. Because crystal skulls are actually a reminder of the dark side of us, or the shadow self, as some people call it. It's a reminder that we have a good side and we have a bad side, and the skulls make us accept the fact that we have a bad side. Thus, they teach us how to work with it and how to not allow that shadow side to take over us. It could be thoughts of suicide, it could be other mental illnesses, and it could be even just simply feeling angry more often than you normally would. Skulls remind us that as humans, we are never going to be perfect and always kind and caring of others and wanting to help them. We will have our moments where we will hate other people, desire more harm upon them, and they even get angry and road rage and want to hurt another person because they're driving stupid. Dagnabbit. That is what skulls are. But crystal skulls also are gentle in reminding us that while you have that dark side, you also have a light side, a good side. And that's why I think they're phenomenal. But for some people, skulls can be scary because, well, it's scary to face that part of yourself. A lot of times we want to look at ourselves and see ourselves as good all the time and just caring and always wanting to reach out and help others. I always give a homeless person $1 on the corner, etc., etc. But the reality is that you're probably thinking, since I gave that homeless person $1, that makes me a better person than everybody else. And that's where it can get dangerous. The light side of you can be a good person. However, you still have that dark side that screams and yearns so much for you to be better than the rest. Maybe you could do this and you'll feel better than everybody else. Good acts are good, but the reason you did those actions matters more than just the action. And skulls remind us of that. That, hey, why was the reason for your action? And was it solely for the benefit of the person that you did that for? Or was it to make yourself feel better, or to make yourself look good in the eyes of others? And that's the shadow itself. Now, skulls come in a variety of sizes, variety of stones. Flavian here is, of course, fluorite. But I do have my leader's skull, who is Little Jasp. He's one of my favorites. He's absolutely stunning and beautiful. He is made and carved from zebra jasper, and he is phenomenal. It's a little bit of his third eye socket right here. And of course he has some teeth problems, but nothing major. He definitely is still one of my favorites. And he goes with me back to work every now and then, sitting on the back shelf, watching people that are shopping for crystals. Sometimes they like to carry him around while they're shopping because he helps give them insight into their shadow selves and to realize what kind of crystals they need to better repair and help themselves to grow. Little Jaspier is the leader of all of my skulls. I have 16 skulls in total. I know, that's a lot of skulls, but each one of them plays a very important part in a very important aspect. One of them I tend to wear, and it's a skull pendant. However, he did not want to be on the video, so he's resting for now. But the ones that were willing to be on it, I will be showing you today. Jaspis, of course, the leader. He's the one that kind of keeps all the other skulls in place. On top of that, he helps balance my other crystals. And he's a good reminder to me of when I need to take a break and just let myself be me. Sometimes he also reminds me that it's okay to say how I really feel. And it's still tough for me to do because I've always felt like I had to make other people happy. And sadly, that deals with a very long ago childhood trauma and something that is going to take time to heal. But he's helping me little by little, even though it's hard and I still feel scummy when I tell people no. He reminds me that I'm just as important as the people I was going to say yes to. Now moving on to the next one. To give you some context, size doesn't matter when it comes to a skull. Because you could have a skull this size, like Jasper, or you could have a skull this size, like my little Turk. Yep, that's his name, is Turk. He's a little turquoise skull, beautifully carved. I wish that my camera would focus on him. Focus? Nope. Sorry, guys. But this is a turquoise skull. He's actually very well detailed in carving, and he is so freaking cute. He's super tiny and he fits right in my pocket, so he goes on journeys with me quite a bit more than Jasp does because he's so small. He can even fit in my purse, in my wallet, in whatever, really. And because he's turquoise, he's not going to be as much of a problem where he could hurt other objects as easily. But I do have to keep in mind that he is a softer crystal, so he could easily get broken and hurt by others. But he's adorable, and you can easily have a tiny skull too if you want to. But on top of that, on the flip side, if you don't want a little skull, or even a medium-sized skull that can fit in your hand, you could go big then, or go home, and go with a giant skull. Yep, this one is literally the same size as my own face. This is an optical calcite skull. Now, you might notice that detailing-wise, not very well carved. He's pretty big, just big, but phenomenally fantastic rainbows that go inside of this guy. Optical calcite has a long-standing history with the Vikings and what they used them for. They used them to be able to find the sun whenever there was extreme fog. They used them also for starlight and just exploration. Optical calcites are gorgeous. They're also called Icelandic calcite because that's mostly where they're found, is in Iceland. Typically, optical calcites, especially the ones from Iceland, are completely translucent or transparent, so you're able to see straight through them. And of course, this one is not entirely that way, but it's still a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. I adore the skull. The skull I waited to buy for quite a while, for several months, because I just wasn't sure, because I was like, the detailing isn't that great, but the more it talked to me, the more I was like, you need to go home with me. So, should you get a crystal skull? In my honest opinion, yes, because I feel like we all need to realize that we have our bad sides and our good sides. None of us are completely 100% good. That is a fact. But none of us are 100% completely bad either. Not unless if you let it take control. And skulls are there to remind us to not let that happen. However, if you make the decision to do so, you will be terrified of a crystal skull. You won't want one, you won't want to go near one, because you're going to just look at it and realize, hey, I haven't been a very good person lately. But I think that they're worthwhile. And I think that they're good for growth. Crystal skulls aren't that expensive unless if you're buying from dear God, from retail sellers who don't know the price of the skull. Dear God, I need to get an editing software. But that is just the fact. A lot of people are going to try and upsell you a lot on these crystal skulls. And again, it depends on a lot of factors. If the skull is super really well detailed like the fluorite skull, then it's probably worthwhile. But if it's not as detailed but is large, make sure the price is fairly reasonable. To give you an idea, this one was $159 and the fluorite skull was $94. So that gives you kind of a good idea of what price comparisons to look for when it comes to skulls. I hope that you can find one out there that fits with you, that can open up and let you realize that, hey, your shadow self is just a part of you. Don't get angry at it all the time, but also just understand it and begin to help working with it. I think it will be all worthwhile. I hope you guys enjoyed today's videos. I'm probably going to be doing a little bit more shorts and just doing short discussions about different crystals and their properties. So look forward to videos like that. It's kind of fun that YouTube's introduced that. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about TikTok yet, so being able to do that on YouTube is a little bit helpful. But I hope that you all have a wonderful and magical day. I hope that the crystals bring you happiness and joy, and I hope that you are staying safe and wise out there. Remember, in the darkest of times, there was always a light. Bye.